you want to go off on your own, but you're in a kind of a place where you've got people who rely on you, you got a family, you've already got your overheads. So here's the biggest difference for you, right? It's much easier if you're just somebody who's just on their own, you can live off ramen noodles, you really don't have many expenses, and you can just, hey, give it a shot. What do you got to lose? You don't have anybody who's really dependent on you for anything. And at the same time, you're not driving around the Mercedes, you don't have a Porsche. Life hasn't gotten that good yet, so you really don't have anything to lose. It's interesting. It's like when I started the business, when I say I started with $500 to my name, believe it or not, that makes it easier because it's like, what do I have to lose? I didn't have a home. I didn't have a family. Obviously, that's in an ironic way, kind of a privileged position to start a business in. But once you have all those things, it's hard to give them up. And I think that's the biggest challenge here. So the short answer is that you're going to have to be able to set aside some money. Okay, you guys are going to have to be able to live as lean as possible so that you can start building the amount of resources and investment you're going to need to start your own firm. You're going to have to figure out what that amount is, right? You don't have to go crazy. You don't have to go buy an office. You don't have to buy a bunch of chairs and hire a bunch of people. It's like you got to be an MVP, minimum viable product, right? What do you need? You need internet access, right? Which you probably already have at home. You're going to need to be able to, I imagine you're going to need some sort of online presence or website. People have to have a way to contact you. You may not even need any of those things. You can start working with people one-on-one and they can start sending you cases. You don't even need business cards, right? So you can do this for a lot less. You don't need t-shirts and hats and swag and all sorts of shit like that. Just get going, get customers, get a client, get a case. I think the real question is like, I have a hard time leaving my salary, right? Because this provides me with a safety net. So then you figure out, okay, what is my actual cost of living? And how can we as a family live as lean as possible? Maybe this means we're not going to be taking as many vacations this year. Maybe it means we're not going to take any vacations this year. Maybe it means we're going to cut down on some of our subscriptions. We're not going to order out to eat. You just have to decide, do you want to actually do this? Because if you're saying, well, that all sounds a little bit unreasonable, I don't want to reduce our quality of life. Kids are used to doing X, Y, and Z. And we got one kid who plays polo or something like that, right? Or ice hockey, they drive like carts. So it's like an expensive sport. It's like, well, maybe we have to put them in soccer. Maybe we got to put them in something that just does not involve like any sort of expense. Put them in a rec league. So you have to really rethink what you'd be willing to do because of how important is it for you to be able to start out on your own. If you're then thinking about it, well, that's one thing. If it's something where it's like, I'm committed to this, I want to bet on my own decision making. I believe that, I have this vision for my future. I want to be able to be my own boss, which is kind of one of the dumbest things you could ever say. So whatever it is that you're doing now, I promise you it's going to be harder doing it on your own. 100%. Somebody else right now is carrying the weight of a lot of the stress that you would be experiencing once you go off on your own. They're figuring out right now how to bring the cases in. They're figuring out right now how to meet the payroll. They're figuring out right now how to be able to cover all the different overheads and provide for everybody. And when you leave, if you're saying that you could do it better, which may be true, who knows, I don't know, now all those things become your problem. Everything becomes your problem. And if you think, oh, I'm going to be my own boss, I'm going to work my own hours, I'm going to kind of work from wherever the hell I want. Yeah, I mean, sure, you can work wherever the hell you want, but your hours, if you're going to be supporting yourself, probably not going to be any less than whatever it is you're doing at any full-time role. In fact, they're probably going to be more, maybe double, for a certain period of time until you start to really figure things out. So the slow way to do it is that you start putting money aside. And it's going to take longer because you want to maintain supporting your family. So you have to lower expenses somewhere to create some sort of cushion. And then you set aside, I don't know, $1,000 a month, maybe more if you can do it. And then you figure out how much money do I need to be able to go off on my own. And you want to be able to have enough in terms of like living expenses. This might take a long time. This may take a few years. That's what it takes. Maybe you're like, okay, I don't want it to take a few years. Well, then you got to reduce your standard of living significantly because you got to reduce the costs so you can be able to put away more into savings. So if the goal is to start this firm, but the reality of it is that you can't get around that.